Have you ever met someone who didn't need to say much, but somehow their presence spoke louder than a crowd? You couldn't explain it, but you felt something real. It's strange, isn't it? How some people can say the simplest words, yet those words seem to reach straight into your mind, as if their voice carries a quiet kind of power. And no, it's not about looks, status, or wealth. It's something deeper, something invisible, but impossible to fake. You meet someone for the first time. Within just a few minutes, they say ordinary things, yet you feel drawn in. There's something magnetic in the way they speak, steady, grounded, almost honest. You find yourself wanting to listen more, not because they're attractive, but because their words carry weight. It's the language of character. You see, every word a person chooses reveals who they truly are. Humans instinctively gravitate toward those with strength and authenticity, because we can feel when someone's words come from truth rather than performance. Now let me be clear, this isn't about manipulation. I'm not teaching you magic words to charm or control others. What you're about to learn is far more powerful. How to recognize genuine character through language, because virtue, real virtue, has its own kind of gravity. It doesn't need to shout. It pulls people in through honesty, courage, and depth. Marcus Aurelius, a man surrounded by politics and deceit, once wrote, "Observe their actions, understand their motives, and discover their inner nature." Language is that window into a person's inner nature. It separates surface charm from real substance. Charm tries to impress, character doesn't need to. When someone speaks with authenticity, when their words show humility, wisdom, and integrity, you naturally feel safer around them. It's not manipulation, it's magnetism born from truth. And today, I'm going to share 6 powerful words that quietly reveal someone's true character. You'll learn why these words hold such force, and why the 4th one, especially, shows a rare kind of courage in our modern world. By the end of this video, you'll not only see people more clearly, you'll begin to speak differently yourself. So, stay with me. Hit that subscribe button, and let's get wiser together. Word number 1. Sorry, when they're truly wrong. Real character isn't shown when everything goes right. It's revealed when someone makes a mistake. When a person says sorry and genuinely means it, without excuses, without blaming others, it shows humility, maturity, and emotional intelligence. Most people panic when caught in an error. They deflect, minimize, or twist the story. They say things like, "I'm sorry, but," or "I'm sorry you feel that way." Those aren't apologies. They're disguises. But when someone says, "I'm sorry, I was wrong," with calm honesty, it's like a breath of rare air in a world full of ego. I once witnessed this during a high-stakes corporate presentation. A manager accidentally presented wrong financial data to a room full of executives. The tension was heavy. Everyone waited for the excuses. But instead, she stopped mid-sentence, looked up, and said, "I'm sorry. I was completely wrong about those numbers. No drama, no cover-up, just courage." And in that moment, her credibility didn't fall. It rose. That's the quiet strength of true character. After that moment of silence in the room, something unexpected happened. Respect filled the air. The executives didn't lose confidence in her. In fact, it was the opposite. Their respect grew. Because when she said, "Let me pause this presentation and get the accurate information right now," they saw something far more valuable than a perfect report. They saw honesty and integrity in action. Her willingness to stop, admit her mistake, and correct it instantly showed that she valued truth over ego. And that kind of authenticity is magnetic. A genuine apology doesn't make you look weak. It makes you human and trustworthy. When someone can openly admit they were wrong, it reveals a rare combination of qualities all at once. They're confident enough to accept imperfection. They're honest enough to face reality, even when it stings. And they're mature enough to take full responsibility for their actions. That is emotional courage, the highest kind there is. In a world where everyone is desperate to look flawless, someone who can own their mistakes shines like a lighthouse of authenticity. They show that they care more about growth than about protecting a fake image of perfection. Epictetus once said, "Acknowledging ignorance is the beginning of wisdom." And that's exactly what a sincere sorry represents. Wisdom in motion. Because people who can apologize genuinely understand something powerful. Mistakes aren't threats to their identity. They're opportunities to evolve. This mindset makes such people deeply attractive. You can trust them because they won't hide behind pride or excuses. They'll admit when they're wrong, learn from it, and move forward. But here's the key. You must learn to tell the difference between authentic and fake apologies. Real apologies are specific. They name exactly what went wrong, take full responsibility, and never include the word but. They don't justify. They acknowledge. They're focused on the impact, not the excuse. Fake apologies, on the other hand, are designed to end the conversation, not heal it. They sound like, "I'm sorry you're upset," or "I'm sorry, but you have to understand." Phrases that twist the meaning of apology into defense. That's not humility. That's manipulation. When you meet someone who can apologize sincerely, you're seeing someone who has mastered one of the hardest parts of human connection, the ability to be wrong gracefully. And that single trait makes them remarkably attractive, because it tells you they'll be honest, accountable, and growth-oriented in every relationship they build. If you've learned to value authentic apologies over flawless performances, drop a 1 in the comments to remind others that accountability is stronger than ego. Genuine apologies reveal integrity and emotional maturity. But the next word digs even deeper. It shows something beyond self-awareness. A person's natural instinct to serve, to notice, and to care. Word number 2. Help. Offered without being asked. The word help is simple, yet it reveals volumes about a person's heart. It shows whether they see opportunities to serve or only focus on themselves. When someone notices that you're struggling, even slightly, and offers to help before you ask, that's emotional intelligence at its highest form. It means they're not lost in their own world. They're aware, observant, and empathetic. Such unsolicited help shows a mind that reads subtle cues, a glance, a tone, a moment of hesitation, and responds with kindness rather than indifference. It's not about rescuing people. It's about caring enough to notice. And in a world where most people walk past each other, too distracted to look up, that kind of awareness is rare and unforgettable. We just talked about how offering help before being asked reveals empathy and awareness. And in a world where most people are lost in their own little bubbles, that quality stands out like light in the dark. Think about it. Most people walk through life with their eyes glued to their phones or their minds trapped in 1,000 worries. So when someone actually notices that you need help without you saying a single word, it's almost shocking. I experienced this myself during one of the busiest conferences I've ever attended. I was clearly overwhelmed, trying to juggle multiple bags, a laptop, presentation notes, and a cup of coffee, all while squeezing through crowded hallways buzzing with people rushing to their next meeting. Most attendees brushed past without a glance, buried in their own schedules. But then one person stopped, just for a second, and with a calm, grounded tone, they said, "Can I help you carry some of those?" There was no hidden motive, no networking angle, no expectation of anything in return, just genuine kindness. The simple recognition that I could use a hand, and that moment stuck with me. Because what made it so powerful wasn't the act itself. It was the purity of the intention. This person had nothing to gain. We weren't business contacts. I couldn't offer them a favor later. They simply saw someone who needed help and acted as if helping was the most natural thing in the world. That's what makes unsolicited help so magnetically attractive. It reveals a kind of emotional intelligence. That's rare today. The ability to step outside one's own world and see the needs of others clearly. When someone can notice your struggles without you saying a word, it shows that they're emotionally in tune, genuinely caring and naturally supportive. And that's not just a random act of kindness. It's a window into how they behave in deeper, more meaningful relationships. Such people will notice when you're stressed before you have to explain. They'll sense when you're overwhelmed or hurting, and they'll offer help without making you ask for it. They move through the world with quiet empathy, while most people remain too absorbed in their own problems to even notice what's happening around them. Someone who can break that self-absorption, to pause, to look up, and to act, shows a remarkable combination of awareness and generosity. That's the kind of character that makes someone unforgettable. As a friend, as a colleague, as a partner. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about our duty to help one another, to serve the common good. Those who live this principle naturally, without seeking recognition or applause, embody virtue in its purest form. They understand something profound, that we are all connected, and by helping others, we strengthen the whole. But here's an important distinction. Not all help is genuine. There's a difference between real service and performative assistance. Real help is quiet. It doesn't come with an audience or an agenda. It's not offered for likes, praise, or favors. True helpers don't look for credit. They simply respond to what's needed, instinctively and sincerely. So pay attention to those who offer help before being asked. Those who notice your struggle, even when you're trying to hide it. Those who lend a hand without expecting anything in return. These are people of substance, people whose character has been shaped by empathy, not ego. And because of that, they build the kind of deep, lasting connections that can weather any storm. When someone's first instinct is to ask, "Can I help?" Instead of walking past your struggle, you're witnessing the kind of person who will be there for you, not just in easy times, but when life truly tests you. So if you're the kind of person who naturally notices when others need a hand, who steps in quietly, without being asked, leave a comment below to inspire others to grow that same awareness and generosity. Because offering help doesn't just show kindness, it reveals the depth of your character. And while help reveals empathy and awareness, our third word will take us even deeper into the heart of what truly defines emotional strength and inner peace. We've just talked about how offering help reveals empathy and awareness. But now, let's move to something even deeper, a person's relationship with truth. Because how someone treats the truth, especially when it's inconvenient, says everything about who they really are. Word number 3, actually, when correcting misinformation. It might seem like such a small word, almost insignificant. But in reality, this single word can reveal the strength of someone's integrity. Because when a person says actually, to gently correct misinformation, even when it's socially awkward, unpopular, or personally inconvenient, it exposes a core of character that's grounded in honesty and courage. Most people avoid these moments. They hear something wrong in a conversation and instantly perform a silent calculation in their head. Is it worth it to correct this? Usually they decide it's not. Why risk sounding argumentative or too smart, especially when the false statement doesn't directly affect them? But a few people, the rare ones, simply can't let falsehood stand. They're not trying to win arguments or show off. They're just wired to defend truth no matter the cost. Their integrity won't let them sit quietly when accuracy is being sacrificed for comfort. I remember witnessing this during a dinner party. Someone confidently shared a statistic about climate change that was completely wrong. Everyone at the table nodded along. The misinformation was spreading easily, accepted without question. Most guests either didn't know the real facts or didn't want to make things awkward. But then one person calmly spoke up. They said, "Actually, the latest research shows something quite different." And then, in a composed and respectful tone, they explained the accurate information, even citing credible sources. They didn't embarrass anyone. They didn't raise their voice. They didn't act superior. They simply stood for truth without making others feel small. That's what made it so powerful and so attractive, because this person gained absolutely nothing from speaking up. It didn't earn them popularity, didn't help their career, and certainly didn't make the room more comfortable. But they couldn't sit by and watch an untruth be treated as fact. Their loyalty was to reality, not reputation. This is what intellectual courage looks like, the ability to value truth more than social comfort. And it's rare, deeply rare. When someone can say, "Actually," not with arrogance, but with humility, not to show superiority, but to serve understanding, that's when you see real character in action. They correct misinformation not to win, but to protect clarity. People like that are magnetically trustworthy. You know that if they're willing to speak the truth when it's socially uncomfortable, they'll also be honest with you in private, even when that honesty might hurt. They won't flatter you with lies just to keep the peace. They'll tell you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear. The Stoics believe that truth is the foundation of virtue, because a society built on accurate understanding thrives, while one built on comforting illusions collapses. And when someone gently corrects misinformation, even when it's inconvenient, they're not just being factual, they're living that Stoic ideal, choosing virtue over vanity, honesty over harmony. Of course, there's a difference between being a know-it-all and being a person of integrity. The difference lies in intention and delivery. A person with real character corrects misinformation to serve truth, not to feed their ego. They do it respectfully, without making others feel lesser. They offer facts as a gift, not as a weapon. Their goal isn't to win an argument. It's to elevate the conversation. So, pay attention to those who take the time to gently fact-check, who bring receipts, real sources, and not to show off, but because accuracy matters to them. These are the people who value truth more than appearances, who care more about understanding than being right. They are the quiet guardians of honesty. And in a world drowning in noise and misinformation, their calm voice of truth becomes a light worth following. We've just seen how truth-tellers reveal their strength through honesty, choosing integrity over comfort and accuracy over popularity. But now, we step into something even rarer, the kind of courage that doesn't just speak truth, but defends boundaries. Because while truth requires courage, saying no requires something even greater, social bravery. People who live by truth develop a rare combination of knowledge, courage, and humility. They don't chase approval. They chase what's real. And that makes them magnetic, because deep down, everyone longs to trust someone who will be honest, no matter the circumstance. Telling the truth takes courage every day. But our fourth word, it reveals the rarest and most attractive form of courage there is. Word number 4. No. When setting boundaries, the ability to say no might sound simple, but it's one of the hardest and most powerful skills a person can possess. When someone says no to a request that violates their values, drains their energy, or crosses their boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable or disappointing to others, they're showing extraordinary self-respect and inner strength. Most people can't do this. They're chronic people pleasers, saying yes to avoid conflict, to be liked, or to escape that brief sting of awkwardness that comes with turning someone down. They overcommit, overstretch, and slowly trade away their peace just to maintain appearances. But the few who can decline, politely, clearly, and without guilt, radiate something powerful. Because saying no isn't just rejection, it's self-preservation. It's the quiet art of protecting your peace without needing to explain why. This kind of courage appears in everyday moments. Declining to stay out late drinking when you have early commitments, refusing to join gossip about a coworker, saying no to financial requests that stretch your limits, skipping social events when your body or mind needs rest. Each no is a small act of rebellion, a declaration that you value yourself more than approval. I witnessed this once at a company event. A group of coworkers kept pressuring one person to stay out late, drinking and socializing far past their comfort zone. The teasing began. "Come on, don't be boring. Where's your team spirit? You'll regret missing out." The pressure was thick. Most people would have caved just to avoid the tension. But this person didn't. They simply smiled and said, "No, I'm heading home now. Have a great evening, everyone." No long excuse. No nervous laughter, no guilt. Just a calm, respectful boundary, delivered with quiet confidence, and that, right there, was the most attractive thing about them. They didn't flinch. They didn't apologize for needing rest. They knew what mattered to them, and they honored it, regardless of what others thought. People who can say no radiate a different kind of strength. They show self-awareness. They know their limits and priorities. They show self-respect, they believe their needs are valid. And they show integrity. They refuse to betray their values just to please others. But perhaps most importantly, people who respect their own boundaries are the ones who will respect yours. They won't pressure you, guilt you, or manipulate you into doing things you don't want to do, because they understand how sacred boundaries are. And that's why they're magnetic. You can trust them. You can relax around them, because you know they won't use guilt, control, or social games to get their way. As the Stoics often taught, discipline is freedom. And nowhere is that truer than in the power to say no. When you learn to guard your energy, your time, and your peace, you don't lose relationships, you elevate them. So if this message resonates with you, if you've ever struggled to say no, remember this. Every no to others is also a yes to yourself. If you're finding value in this message, give this video a like and subscribe to Stoic Training, where we explore how to build these quiet, powerful virtues every day, because the next word we'll discuss reveals a kind of strength that transforms pain into power. We just talked about the power of saying no, the courage to set boundaries with quiet confidence. But there's another test of character that's just as revealing, not in how someone protects their own peace, but in how they respond when you succeed. Epictetus often reminded his students to focus on what's within our control and to release what isn't. Other people's disappointment when you say no isn't yours to manage. Their reaction to your boundaries is their responsibility, not your burden. When you say no to an unreasonable request, you're not being cold or selfish. You're practicing wisdom in motion. You're living the Stoic lesson of self-respect and emotional discipline, but there's an important distinction to understand: the difference between healthy boundaries and selfish inflexibility. A healthy no is delivered calmly, respectfully, and without over-explaining. It protects your time, your values, and your peace. without trying to control others or make them feel small. A person with real self-respect can say no clearly and kindly without guilt or defensiveness. They know that their needs matter, their time has value, and their principles aren't up for negotiation just to gain approval. Look for people who decline politely but firmly, who don't twist themselves into knots justifying their decisions, and who seem genuinely comfortable when others are disappointed by their boundaries. That's real strength. The ability to honor your truth without needing everyone to like it. These individuals have developed something rare, the discipline to put their authentic needs above social expectations. And that's what makes them quietly magnetic. Because when someone can say no without fear or apology, they're not pushing people away. They're building respect. They're showing you that their word has weight and their peace has value. Setting boundaries isn't arrogance. It's emotional maturity in action. But now, let's move from self-respect to something equally profound, how a person relates to others' success. Because that, too, reveals everything about their character. Word number 5, congratulations. With genuine enthusiasm. How someone reacts to your achievements tells you who they truly are inside. When a person says, congratulations, with authentic joy, no jealousy, no sarcasm, no hidden edge, it shows emotional security, maturity, and generosity of spirit. Sadly, this kind of reaction is rare. Most people, even unconsciously, see life as a competition. They believe someone else's success means there's less room for their own. So while they might offer polite words, their tone, body language, or follow-up comments often reveal something else. Quiet resentment or comparison. Some even disguise criticism as concern. Congratulations. But are you sure you're ready for that responsibility? They're not celebrating. They're subtly planting doubt. But when someone can celebrate your win as if it were their own, it shows something extraordinary. It reveals a person with an abundant mindset, someone who doesn't measure their worth by comparison, but by contribution. They don't feel threatened by others' success because their sense of identity is secure. They understand that another person's light doesn't dim their own. I remember feeling this contrast clearly when I received a major promotion at work. Most colleagues offered the usual polite, congratulations, the kind that sounds professional, but hollow. Their smiles didn't quite reach their eyes. It felt like a routine gesture, a social obligation. But one colleague's reaction was completely different. The moment she heard the news, her entire face lit up. She said, congratulations. That's absolutely fantastic. You've worked so incredibly hard for this. I'm just thrilled it's finally happening for you. Her joy was real, bright, unfiltered, and completely free of envy. It almost felt like she was celebrating her own achievement. What made her response so powerful wasn't just the enthusiasm, it was the total absence of competition or hidden motives. There was no trace of why them and not me, no attempt to downplay or redirect the moment. She was simply happy, genuinely, selflessly happy for someone else, and that's what makes people like her so magnetic. Those who can celebrate others' victories without jealousy or comparison, demonstrate the highest level of emotional intelligence. They embody 3 rare traits. Emotional security. They don't need to diminish others to feel worthy. Abundance. Mindset. They believe success is not a limited resource. Genuine. Support. They want good things for others simply because it's good. People like this uplift every space they enter. Their energy feels safe, generous, and grounded. And when you're around them, you can breathe easier because you know you're not in competition. You're in good company. We just explored how genuine congratulations reveal a secure, generous spirit. Someone who can celebrate your success without envy or hidden competition. Now, let's go one step deeper. into the rarest quality of all, the ability to truly understand. Because the way a person celebrates you also predicts how they'll stand beside you when life gets difficult. If someone can cheer for your wins without jealousy, they'll also support your growth, protect your peace, and encourage your dreams without feeling threatened. They'll be the kind of person who genuinely wants what's best for you. Not because it benefits them, but because it makes them happy to see you thrive. Marcus Aurelius once taught that we should rejoice in others' good fortune as if it were our own, because we are all part of the same human community. When someone lives by this truth effortlessly, not out of duty, but out of instinct, you're witnessing a person with rare moral maturity and philosophical depth. The difference becomes clear when you start paying attention. Watch people's faces when you share good news. Notice who offers polite nods and who lights up with genuine joy. Listen closely to their tone and their follow-up words. Do they offer empty praise or do they speak from real warmth? Do they add small qualifiers like, "Are you sure you can handle that?" Or do they celebrate you without hesitation? True supporters show their sincerity through the details. They remember what you worked for. They tell you why they're happy for you. They ask questions because they're genuinely curious, not because they're waiting to talk about themselves. Even their eyes and body language reflect genuine excitement. People like this have developed an extraordinary emotional balance, a calm, generous energy that makes them safe to be around. They're the kind of friends, partners, and colleagues who remind you that life isn't a competition, but a community where every success adds to the collective good. When someone says, "Congratulations," and you can feel that they mean it, not just in their voice, but in their presence. You've met someone whose character radiates abundance, security, and wisdom. They don't just tolerate others' success, they help it grow. But now we arrive at the final word, the one that reveals the deepest level of character. Because beyond truth, boundaries, and empathy lies the foundation of genuine human connection. Understanding. Word number 6. Understand. When showing empathy. When someone says, "I understand," and truly means it, not as a reflex, not as a filler phrase, it reveals one of the rarest human abilities, the power to connect without judgment. Most people, when you share something personal or painful, aren't really listening. They're preparing what to say next. They're thinking about their own similar story, rehearsing advice, or simply waiting for their turn to speak. But the rare few, those who truly understand, take a completely different approach. They listen with their full attention. They aren't trying to fix you or impress you. They're simply there, fully present, absorbing your words, your emotions, your reality. To truly understand someone means setting aside your own ego, your stories, your assumptions, your need to be right, and stepping fully into their world. It's choosing not to rush in with solutions or comparisons, but to stay curious, patient, and open. It's asking, "What does this feel like for you?" instead of saying, "I know exactly how you feel." This kind of understanding takes emotional courage. It requires humility, to accept that you might not have all the answers, and compassion, to care deeply about someone else's experience without making it about yourself. I remember experiencing this difference clearly during a very difficult time in my life. I shared a deeply personal situation with several friends. Most responded immediately with advice, comparisons, or quick attempts to cheer me up. "Oh, I went through something similar. You'll get over it, don't worry. Just think positive." They meant well, but their words, though kind, made me feel unseen, as if my pain was being brushed aside. And then one person simply listened. No interruptions, no quick fixes. When I finished speaking, they said quietly, "I understand. That must have been incredibly heavy for you." Those few words, calm, sincere, and grounded, carried more comfort than all the advice in the world. Because in that moment, I didn't feel judged, corrected, or minimized. I felt understood. That is the power of genuine empathy, the kind that doesn't speak to fix, but to connect. In the last scene, we talked about the rare power of being truly understood, of someone who listens not to reply, but to connect. And I'll never forget that one friend who did exactly that. They didn't interrupt. They didn't rush to fix anything. They simply listened, fully, attentively, then asked gentle, thoughtful questions to understand more clearly. And when I finally finished speaking, they said quietly, "I understand why this feels so overwhelming and painful for you. The uncertainty, the weight of those decisions, it must be incredibly stressful." In that moment, I realized something profound. They didn't just grasp the facts of my situation. They understood the emotional reality of living through it. What made their response so powerful wasn't that they offered a solution or comforted me with cliches. It was that they chose to witness my experience exactly as it was, without trying to fix it, minimize it, or compare it to their own. They simply saw me. And that kind of presence, being fully seen and accepted, is one of the rarest and most magnetic experiences in human connection, because genuine understanding is rare. In a world where everyone is competing to be heard, the person who truly listens becomes unforgettable. They make you feel safe, not because they say the right words, but because they make space for you to be authentic without fear of judgment, advice, or dismissal. This quality reveals several profound traits all at once. First, it shows emotional maturity, the ability to sit with another person's pain without needing to fix it. Second, it demonstrates true empathy, feeling with someone, not for them, and not making it about yourself. And third, it reveals secure self-worth, the confidence to hold space for another person, without needing to prove your wisdom or experience. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized this exact principle, the importance of understanding others' motives and perspectives. He believed that wisdom begins not with judgment, but with comprehension, that the ability to understand others deeply is what builds harmony, strength, and effective relationships. Those who practice this kind of understanding naturally create bonds that most people spend a lifetime searching for. Because the difference between real and surface-level understanding is easy to see. Real understanding is specific. It reflects that the person truly absorbed what you said, the details, the emotions, the nuance. It doesn't rush to advice or comparisons. It might sound like, "That must have been exhausting, especially after everything you already handled." It's precise. It's personal. It's present. Fake understanding, on the other hand, sounds generic and impatient. It says things like, "Yeah, I totally get it. I've been there." Or, "Don't worry, it'll be fine." It's sympathy dressed up as connection, and it misses the depth completely. Look for people who take the time to ask clarifying questions, who reflect back what they've heard. So what you're saying is, just to make sure they've understood correctly, and who can sit with your emotions without needing to change them. These individuals have cultivated emotional intelligence and genuine compassion, the foundation for the deepest, most meaningful relationships you can have. Because when someone truly understands you, they're giving you one of life's greatest gifts. The experience of being fully seen, fully heard, and fully accepted for who you are and what you feel, and that's the essence of this entire journey. These 6 words reveal the kind of character that naturally attracts others, not through charm or manipulation, but through virtue. Character is the foundation of all real attraction. Charm might catch someone's attention for a moment, but only virtue, honesty, courage, empathy creates bonds that last. People are instinctively drawn to those who are authentic, grounded, and kind. Because these traits signal safety, stability, and depth, qualities that can't be faked. So if you believe that character matters more than social tricks, give this video a like and subscribe to Life Through Stoicism to continue learning how to build inner strength and authentic magnetism through timeless wisdom. And tell me in the comments, which of these 6 words do you find hardest to say genuinely? Your honesty might help someone else grow. Remember, be the kind of person you'd want to meet.